Hey guys, so this is actually going to be D&D like episode 19 I think, and I completely forgot to record it, so we're going to do this a little bit differently than we normally do. This one's going to be like a 10-15 minute video maybe, but nonetheless this session was the first session back from our in-person, which I also didn't record, so I kind of should go over what happened. But at the end of the day, what they did do, this is actually like an 18 and 19 recap. Holy crap, I didn't even realize. Hold on, what did they do on in 18? Now I gotta look at my notes. I look crazy. Hold on. So before we get into what they did in the last session of 19, this is going to be the 18 recap of the in-person, and that was a lot of fun. We had a little bit more characters than we expected, but nonetheless, it was definitely very fun because let's see, pre-knows what they remember. Uh, 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 uh. Where were they? Where were they? One second, guys. Oh, that's what we did. Okay, that's what we did. So we actually talked about it from the overview, and they were down here. They were following the mountains where they were doing a little bit of stuff, and they had to go through the mountains where they had three locations. They're actually over here. Up in here, we talked about whatever, and then we had three to four locations where they had to go check around to go see what was going on. And what we initially did is we came through here. That's actually a little bit of 17 as well. We came through here to talk to the giant, not the giants, the circus frogs, talking about what's going on. And then they got a little bit of insight about how they were missing a brother, about how the Croakers are missing a brother. And then, how, the show must go on. We also had the abandoned camp of where they went to find where the other Croaker left. I forget what his name is. It's like Richard or something, super random. Gotta look around us for that one. I don't see it, so that's just not that important. Nonetheless, we then found the mutilated giant, and this is really where episode 18 finished up. So we finished halfway through here, and they're able to get from the captain that this is a halfway. This is a autistic one. This is one that is not really able to understand commands, and that's why it's going rampant. And it had to be put down. You might save the day by finishing the final blow after the guards did her best. And the other three over here, we had Pixel, Xander, and Socrates being able to capture the captain and make sure they're all good, while we had Ritsu being downed and Chaya and Hinata taking care of him. After they finished up the situation, they decided that they're going to finish going to travel through the mountains to Fujioma, which is where they had the first encounter. So in this nighttime, they were able to meet up with their friend Yuma, and they realized the old soul. They said, "Oh, what's going on in these neck of the woods?" Just finding the next mercenary. And I wonder if they're ever going to find it odd that he's always damn near every location that they're at. But we're gonna leave that for another day. But at the end of the day, they were investigating. They found that this is the manor over here. This is where they stayed and where they were going to have for the night. Where they're going to sleep and stuff. But before they went to bed, they did take a look around and were able to find the local bar, and were able to find two groups. The first group, primary group, and the secondary group, confronting each other, saying which group has stronger force in the group, which is the better armed and intellectual group. And they settled it through an archery battle. People were able to put their bets and be able to see what they wanted to do. And then we had people place their money, and we had some win, some lose. Forget who put money up. Bocrates always put up money. You know that boy, love that shit, bro. And then we also had, I believe, Mitico put up money. We had Shia put up some money, I believe. And then yeah. So we ended up having the secondary group being the winners and becoming Valorant, the Victorians, and being the number one group, and will now be making changes in the surrounding area. So then they went to bed, and they were there for the daytime. We're able to talk about to some of the daytime people. These are the twins, Siobhan and Raiden. And then we're also really able to talk to the captains, talking about the status of the Duke of Fukujioma. They were understanding how his family, with all of this Nakajin activity, is very unapparent and unfazed by it. Especially in his town, you would think that someone who was born and raised here would have a lot more say in so. So, they slept for another day, and they waited for the daytime or for the nighttime, and they were able to check in the manor. And we had who do we have? We had Lady Fate and Muse be able to investigate the tavern while Muse infiltrated and was able to hand the Duke and the surprise guests that were making deals, who he noted had black clothing, very dark, and a secret exit. He was able to offer them tea and try to hear about their conversation. After the confrontation, the guards there, tried to question him as to why. Why would you do that? Why would you intervene? There was no da, 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 da. And with his stealth, he was able to cosplay and say, not cosplay. He was able to disguise himself and say, I was just doing, what's best for me, so or best for the intended, so they let him go. And he was able to relay that to the team. And then when talking to the team as well, talking to the general and the leader of the militia and army in Fukujima, they were able to infiltrate or understand that there's a lot of missing guards and a lot of information being held on the east side. It seems as though something is occurring. And this is where we ended up going to the river. This is where they had the big fight, where they were able coming from the east side, trying to go from the west, where they had, 3 to 4, they had 4 Nakajins trying to push this giant into the river. And they were also able to, well, no, not yet. So what they planned to do is that they had spellcasters over here. So we had Bokratis and Chaya on the far side, while we had 2 people fly over. We had Styx, and we had Mitiko carry over Lady Fate and Xander, while we had others cross the bridge and make it over. They never found this chest, which is really funny because they never looked for it. They never rolled me a perception check to see what was around. But yeah, so they were actually able to kill all the Nakajins and capture the captain before killing the giant, and they were also able to amuse the giant. So what ended up happening in order to not really tame the giant, but to befriend the giant, is that at first the giant was very scared, trying to run away, had nowhere to run, and then Bokratis tried to persuade it by just convincing it, and proceeded to run away. And then he put down his weapon and put down food. And then he was able to, share some rations, which, gave him some amicability. And then as a group, they were able to try and persuade the giant as well. And they succeeded against her charisma save as well. So what ended up happening, and this is now walking into episode 19, which is like, whoa, we were now able to have Chaya, Pixel, and Bokratis able to torture the captain to get information about what's going on, and they were able to learn that this is a half autistic giant as well, but this one understands a lot better. This one is able to work, and this one is, maybe they see something about it that doesn't make sense. What they did learn is that Bokratis, I believe it is, speaks strict giant, so he will be able to, communicate with her a little bit better. He hears like every other word. So as long as he's willing to work with her, there might be something there in the future, which is kind of fun. I wonder how that's going to be, how it's going to evolve in the future. So next time they go to the Dynasty Quarter, they'll have a conversation and see what's going on in terms of that. But what they ended up doing as a group, so they ended up moving more to the north. They're up here, they moved to a little town named Asakai. And this is where, as a DM, I had no idea what they were into. I was expecting them to go to Takahata maybe, to finish the Samoto Trail. I was maybe having them go back to Ryudenji, maybe go back to Kamisakai. They only have a week, so they better not do too much. But we'll see. So they ended up going to go north and figure out a little bit more information. And I made a quick map because of course, as a DM, I had no idea what they were doing. So this was actually a really, really, really important part. And I'm really upset I missed it because I was like, fuck, I don't have anything. So let me just throw this important piece in because it is vital and they do need to get familiar with her. So they will see her later. So we have Bokratis, Bokratis, Pixel. Wow, I can't even fucking spell. Pixel. Bokratis, Chaya, and Pixel going around talking to people, and they were able to talk to this guard, the Stro guard, who gave them no information. They actually seemed to be very disliked. He seemed to keep a very close eye on them and noticed them as soon as they walked in, and he very much noticed them. As I left it, he is definitely an enemy. But I wonder if they can see that. I hope they can. Nonetheless, after talking to them, they went over to this little apprentice where they were able to buy a bunch of candy and help the village out. her and her mom were there for a while, and of course, Bacrates being money man gave them the whole shot. He was like, "Give it all to me." Had Chia also, doing questioning and understanding and getting to understand the history and the past of, Azakai. As they know, this is a very foreign land. This was their 20th celebration for their anniversary. So this is a big celebration for them and all that. So after, having a conversation, we had Lady Irina come over, and Lady Irene is actually the trainer of all of the winners group. So she met every single one of them, appointed them to the Dynasty Quota, and she's the main person that works with them. At the same note of that, as Socrates rolled a nat 20 to remember all this, they ended up remembering that she's the one who also saved the Royals Council, who was, Cyros, Mesh, Meg, what else is there? Boris, and the Silent One. All of them from what is it? What is that called? Kamoshima? No. What is it called? Kamoshima. Yeah, I was right. Look at that. Look at that. I was fucking right. So they were able to go back into the bar, and the winners group was able to decipher with Lady Irene that Irina is that there is a lot of activity in the north. It seems as though that there have been washed up giants walking through on the east side, the northwest side of Ryudenji. And she just came from the east side, just came from the west side, and is now going to the east to discover if they're there. But at the same time, she is also supposed to meet Dynasty Kodo in a week. So she told him not to be late, and she also gave him information about how there is another group that seems to always be around. She can't seem to find any clues, but she has been looking for them, in disguise as well. So what's nice is that, he didn't see them going in because they were in a bar when they had the conversation, but he did know that they were chatting. So this is going to be a very fun instance. I wonder what level he is. Oh, he's really not even that strong. Are we serious? Fuck. Whatever. All right. So that was really the whole episode because I didn't really have too much. So I'm happy that, kind of told you all about it. So next, maybe at some point, another Sunday, we'll have another episode. I'll have it recorded a lot better, and then I can catch y'all up. So happy that I can record something for y'all. So sorry this took so long to keep going, but we are still here. There are a lot of people that aren't able to join, like Mithiko. He had to drop out because he's got to focus on career. Definitely get that, and I support it. But whenever he joins back, he'll be back in the story. Sander is also in a very similar position. He's got to work on his career situation. So there's a lot of that. But nonetheless, we still got a group that's going with it, and I'm gonna make a story as long as they want one. So looking forward to it. So thanks, guys.